revolution, Jimmy. The American dream is just that. Just a dream. War is a continuation of politics, only by other means. Politics is a continuation of economics by other means. This is our bank. This is our war. And this is our plan of attack.
Banks have become an essential threat to our democracy. So consider this justice.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the internet. Please help support this station so this battle can continue forward. Revolution Radio! The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome to Sacred Matrix, a divine paradigm of love and universal consciousness, with your host, Janet Kira Lessin and Dr. Sasha Lessin.
Together, we transform the world.
And now, here are your hosts, Janet Kira and Dr. Sasha Lessin.
Are we live?
I believe we are.
Oh, good. Hi, Sue. How are you?
Good. I'm doing great, Kevin. Otter and I are here and looking forward to chatting with you this evening. And the whole gang in the mountain is just going a little nutsy.
I can just imagine.
Oh, boy. It's been quite an interesting several weeks since the last time we chatted. And so we probably should catch everybody up on what's going on and a little bit about what we're going to talk about tonight. I'm going to give you the floor first, and then we'll figure out where we're going from there.
All right. Sounds good. It sounds good. Hey, Matt Painter, do we have, is Janet and Sasha joining us tonight?
They didn't tell me they were.
Oh, okay. All right, I wasn't too sure.
She hadn't mentioned anything. As far as I know, no, they weren't.
Okay, all right.
I guess it's just us and the gang, Kevin. I think we'll have a very good time.
She would have been yelling at me, "Where are you?" if she was coming.
Okay, that's good. I thought so. We're gonna have a big party, and then she'll have to listen back in on the call.
That's right. She'll just miss it and have to listen later.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good time tonight because Sue and I were just talking beforehand because we kind of had an idea of what we were going to talk about, but apparently some of the boys have some different ideas too. So, and we thought, okay, we're gonna have some serious, not so serious, typical Zeta talk.
Yeah. Welcome to our house.
No kidding. I got my serious, not so serious T-shirt on. I'm all set to go here.
Oh, good. Good. Well, Kevin, let's catch all of your listeners up to who the boys are that we're talking about.
Yes.
And kind of give them a little bit of an introduction as to the unusual nature of the CE5 that Reverend White Otter and I have going on, as well as your visit here to us and your personal CE5 experiences at our home and everything else. And so I think the topic is life, the universe, and everything tonight, to be honest.
This show is brought to you by Douglas Adams.
That's right, exactly.
Yes. So, folks, just to get caught up, we are speaking tonight with Sue Walker and Otter, and we've had them on the show before. You may recognize them. We've talked about at Sandia Wisdom. We've talked about Sandia the ET, and who they are. They are a group of we call them Zetas, but they're actually from the planet Ponti. And Pontel, that's right, yes. The fifth planet orbiting Zeta Reticuli 2.
Correct. And
they reside in Albuquerque, just not too far from Sue's house. Just a hop, skip, and a jump. And there's a base underneath the Albuquerque Mountains, or Sandia Mountains in Albuquerque. Correct. And Sue had an amazing adventure with a surprise introductory during what was the TV show? American Idol.
Oh, right. This all started, guys, back in September of 2013. And just to give you a little background on me, I have spent the last 27 years being a professional detail psychic that works with police departments and numerous 3-letter agencies over the course of 2.5 decades. But also, I have been a lifelong experiencer of star nations and craft since somewhere between age 3 and 4. Okay, I've seen more craft than I even know to count anymore, and that includes the ones that I have seen here in New Mexico since moving here. I spent the first 50-some years of my life in the middle of the United States, in the middle of the farming corn and soybean belt in the state of Iowa. And if you drew an X from corner to corner in the state, I lived right about in the middle of the X. And so I spent a lot of time there, just raising kids, having marriage, and other things. Went through a couple of marriages, participated in raising 5 kids, had 3 of my own. But during the time that I lived in Iowa, starting in 1998, I began to have in-person experiences that I remembered extremely vividly. And that started in June of 1998. The first individuals I saw were the tall white Zeta race. The second time I saw individuals in my home live with my own eyes. I woke up to 4 Ponti at the foot of my bed. That was also June of 98. And then in August of 99, I met a reptilian individual. Wasn't until I divorced and was on my own for a good 10 years and didn't think I was going to ever get back together with anybody, and met Otter. And he lived 1,200 miles away from me. We met in Iowa at a spiritual ceremony and got a chance to cook together. He's a retired chef. And got to be friends. And a year later, he came back to do the same thing. And we cooked together again and got to know each other some more and started dating. And so I wanted to see what he lived like in New Mexico. So I came down, took the train down in September of 2013. And I had never been to New Mexico before. So my experience of corn and soybean fields in the middle of Iowa was very, very different topography than the mountains and the desert and the vistas that you see in New Mexico. Otter lives in a suburb of Albuquerque, west of the Sandia mountain. And I had been in his home less than 10 days. And he and I were watching America's Got Talent, I believe it was. And you have to remember, in my career, along with working with law enforcement and locating missing persons and murder cases and all that stuff, also did my fair share of understanding and describing the spiritual world to folks, including experiences with ghosts and hauntings and things that you would normally see on a paranormal show. That was my career. Still is. But when I got here and we sat in the living room and we're watching America's Got Talent, we just finished watching a particularly good show, and I was commenting to Otter how good the singer was, and a voice popped up. And this wasn't a ghost, and it wasn't a spirit. It was clear as a bell. It was male, and it did not come from inside our home. I knew enough to know where it came from, and my head whipped and looked out the picture window to the east and looked straight at a specific location in the Sandia Mountain. And what the voice said was just very innocuous. It wasn't anything profound. It was just this male voice that came out of nowhere that said, yeah, he was really good. Maybe he should win. And I just kind of went, what? Who was that? And I couldn't figure it out. And then there was nothing. And I thought, who the heck did I just hear? That wasn't a ghost. What's going on? And of course, coming from Iowa to New Mexico, you hear the tales about all of the secret things that happen in all kinds of underground places in New Mexico. And you never know what goes on here. And by the way, that's true. However, I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea. And I didn't have enough information because it was a one sentence. And I thought, okay, whatever that was. And then a couple of days later, we were talking about, I think Otter and I were having a discussion about telepathy at the time and how to develop it and the courses that we had known about and what we had read. And the voice pops up again and comments on it. And I don't remember what he said. And my head whips around again and I look out the picture window at the same spot in the Sandia Mountain. Now, long story short, it went from every couple of days to starting to hear this voice every day. And after about a week of this, I finally turned to Otter and go, you ever hear a voice from the mountain? And here I am visiting his home for the first time, dating this guy, trying to figure out if, we're going to be in a relationship and stuff like that. And I'm asking this guy about strange voices that come from beneath the mountain. And I was a little tentative about asking that. And his response was, oh, them. Oh, yeah, I don't pay them any mind anymore. And you have to remember, Otter has been a shaman, very, very, very well-trained shaman for 35 years. And so hearing all kinds and all manner of voices from all over in the collective consciousness is a very normal thing for him all day, every day. Still is. And so he didn't distinguish it as something really any different, but I did. And so the only difference was when the voice talked to me, I answered or responded. I started a dialogue back. And when we got this back and forth thing going, after about a week of referring to it as the voice from the mountain, I gave it a nickname. Came from the Sandia Mountain. I figured Sandia was as good a nickname as anything. It sounded like a name to me. What I didn't know until later, somebody had to explain it to me, is in Spanish, the word Sandia means watermelon. And it's the Sandia Mountain is named that because there's some vegetation and stripes on the top of the mountain that remind you of the stripes on the side of a watermelon. And so I decide in my own head, without even saying anything out loud, that I'm going to call this voice from the mountain Sandia, and he hears me. And it doesn't take him a split second. And the voice pops up and says, hey, watermelon head, that'll work. And I'm going, what? And I had no idea what he was talking about at the time. I really didn't know. It wasn't until about 2 months into this that he finally fessed up to who he was, what his real name was, and where he was from. And so you have to understand, this is at this point in time, I'm going back and forth from New Mexico to Iowa. And I'm staying and visiting for a few weeks, and then I'm going back home. And then I get invited back, or Otter comes to Iowa. And we do the back and forth thing for about 9 months.
Geez, you're lucky you were invited back, eh?
Yeah,
if Otter was somebody of a normal 3D, he would not have been invited back.
anyway, every time I'm in New Mexico, I talk to Sandia and find out that this gentleman's real name is Tlkm. And he is a gentleman. He's very polite. He's very wise. He's very educated. He's very patient. And over the course of that 9 months, going back and forth, when I was in New Mexico and Otter and I talked to him, I got to know him just like you get to know somebody long distance over the telephone. And so we just had conversation. We never, ever, ever asked Tlkm about technology. We still don't. And the reason that we don't is because I wasn't in this to understand what kind of technology or weaponry or how advanced they were. I was in this because I had him contact me to talk about some everyday thing like who should win America's Got Talent and the news and the weather and life, the universe, and everything. And because he was my friend, I thought, you know what? I honestly value the friendship more than I value the technology at this stage of the game, because I recognized that we had something special going on. And for a long time, we didn't tell very many people. You can kind of imagine it was a little bit of an awkward situation. Oh, so Sue, Outer, how was your day? Oh, good. We talked to the extraterrestrial beneath the mountain today for about 5 hours. So you don't always share all of that with, your mother-in-law or something like that. So we just kind of wrote things down and kept track and started to realize that what this guy was telling us was real. And bit by bit, piece by piece, we began to understand them and their world. And then we began to be introduced about 1.5 years after we first were introduced to Tlkm was the first time he introduced Druti and Radar by name, or Rahaz by name. Yeah. So there are other Ponti beneath the Sandia Mountain. The complex is extremely old. It was part of the original tunnel system and apparently was retrofitted to become the northern Western Hemisphere Ponti station centuries ago, millennia ago. And so they'd have been there a long, long time before white men or anybody else came this way. And at least that's what Tlkm has explained to us. And they told us a great many things, just a normal, everyday conversation. They have been to our home. And Kevin, I think you could probably describe a little bit more about some of the CE5 stuff that has happened to you since encountering Sandia on Twitter and then meeting Radar and the rest of the gang. If you haven't followed the Twitter account, guys, the Ponti that have introduced themselves to us each have extremely distinct personalities, likes, dislikes, quirks, senses of humor, and all of them have their own things to say about what's going on Earth, what's going on with us, what's going on with official first contact, what's going on with each other, and what's going on with other star nations. But the most unusual thing about the Sandia Ponti, and listen up, everybody, because this is the really, really unusual part. When you become friends with them, they go visit you live. Sometimes within minutes, people around the world will say, I'm outside, come wave or blink at me. And they say, just a second, we have somebody up in your area. Look for the moving star, send up a hello, and we'll blink twice. The person does. They get the blink twice back within minutes. And this is happening all over the world. Some people are having ongoing CE5s now because they've made friends with these guys on Twitter. Yep. Kevin, you are one of them. The gentleman that is acting as the webmaster for Official First Contact, Jason, is another one. And
Jason's stories are crazy.
Oh, they're
so funny.
And Jason has taken photographs of and posted them on a regular basis. He's formed a YouTube channel of the And right now he's on target to try and get a full spectrum camera to try and get some other evidence to go ahead and corroborate things. So anyway, so that's a little bit of the background. Kevin, tell everybody about how you stumbled onto these guys, or how they stumbled onto you. I think it was radar.
Sure, yeah. It was radar, yeah. So I was introduced to Sandia over a year ago by a friend of mine, Cale Gillespie, and he introduced me, and I went and checked out the site and followed it for like several days, reading all the tweets, and then I went deeper into their website and was reading their tweets and started to realize, wow, these guys are legit. Like this makes sense, from my own studies, and I was convinced that this was the real deal, that they were who they were, and so I started to develop a friendship with all of them. And, I was on Twitter every day and having chats and stuff and, joking around and things. And then, I started to become pretty close with Radar. And then he started to get, silly with me. And so then one day, like I had these T-shirts that I had on my website. I called them Real E T-shirts. And they were drawn by an experiencer friend who I interviewed, Rob Fullington. And then one day, Radar says, Kev, we really need to get you some better T-shirt models, because the ones on your T-shirts are way too serious and scary looking.
Yeah.
And so I'm like,
I remember him saying that. He was just going, how come everybody draws ETs grumpy, angry, scary looking, monster looking, vicious, or just plain bad?
Yeah.
Nobody draws smiling ETs. Nobody draws us the way that we really are. How come? And he had a good point.
Yeah, so that's what Radar said. I'm thinking, oh yeah? Well, I know 4 new models for my T-shirts, because Sue had drawn some really nice portraits of them. So I saw their portraits. I thought, those actually make really good T-shirts. And I said, but this is all going on, this conversation is going on live on Twitter. But I said, okay, Radar, but I want you to come up with a caption for the T-shirt. And so I'm thinking, that's gonna be a good one. Let me think. What would be a good caption for a T-shirt with the 4 of them on it? Oh yeah, just simply "we're here" in brackets. You know what? I'll bet Radar will be the one to think of it. I swear to God, a few minutes later, this tweet comes up, and it says, "We're here" with a dash Radar, because he always his name, signs his name with this big, happy face sticking his tongue out. I'm like, what? I wrote back. I went, oh my god! I was just thinking that. I thought that would be Radar who came up with the caption. And then this other tweet comes up in brackets with other look of shock. You mean gasp? Telepathy works? Who knew? And I'm like, wait a second. You didn't just.
Yes, they did.
You didn't. And he said, dude, you're easy to read, and dude, get used to it.
Yeah. I forgot that part.
I'll never forget that. I was just floored. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, they wanted to show you that what you were thinking was right, and they wanted to prove it to you with live. Okay, and so that was the point, and you got it.
Oh, I got it. And so
then after that, then what happened?
Oh, geez, we just developed a really good friendship. I mean, I don't know. Well, I mean, and then it was it was September. Well, actually, no, there was I went through a lot last year because I went through a marriage breakdown, and I was really upset. And I kind of did a private direct message to Rudy and Teeny, and I said, I'm really upset. And they just responded back, and they said, we know what's going on. And I just started to cry. Because it was like hadn't even talked to them, and they already knew what was going on in my life, and I was the support that I have from them emotionally was just, it really helped me through a really, really hard time.
That's the amazing part. They're just so understanding. That's the thing that has floored us, is the depth of emotional connection that you have. These are not robots. These are not automatons. These are not monsters. These are people with very, very deep, profound feelings, humor, joy, love, and they are extremely patient with us.
God, yeah. I would say that they're probably more human than we are in the respects of connection to their emotions.
And they simply say that they are our distant cousins, that they are part of the human family, along with us, along with a number of other star nations, and that they're looking forward to official first contact so that we can meet our relatives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
so go back to radar and CE5s and you, because you have to tell people that radar considers you his guitar guru, and why.
Yeah, because radar really wanted to learn how to play guitar. It's a kind of a huge passion for him, and so, but he has this challenge because he's got he's only got 4 fingers, and so he's trying to figure out how he can play the guitar. And so I came up with a way of being able to help him to be able to play guitar. And so I've given him telepathic guitar lessons, visualizing, him, showing him the fingerings of how to hold the guitar and how to, use your right arm elbow to brace the guitar so that you can be able to pick and be able to just put your fingers on the guitar. You don't even need a thumb.
That's right.
I showed him if you can, if you detune, if you tune it to low, the E to low D, you can basically play a bar chord, and you can use one finger. You can use your fingers and play bar chords. And so I showed him. Yeah, it makes it much easier, so that somebody with 4 fingers can actually learn to play guitar. And so I taught him how to do this, giving him this telepathic guitar lesson. And I know that he's visited our place too, because he's visited my daughter Rachel because she wanted to give him her guitar because she has this classical guitar, and so she left
closer to his size.
Closer to his size. That's right. And
a child model.
Yes, a child model. And so, Rachel passed a message to Radar saying, "I want to gift this to you. I want you to have my guitar." And Radar was just completely taken back.
He was. In fact, I will tell you that action of generosity, just even the thought and intent of it, not only rippled through the Ponte of the Sandia station, but when they say on Twitter that a lot of the things that are shared with them, they share with other star nations, and those things go viral out into the universe, Rachel's act of kindness and intent toward Radar is known by many. And that helped. It was the first gift officially on Twitter in public to the Ponte, and it touched them a great deal. It really did.
Mm. And Tlkm and Drudy and Radar and all of them, they mean so much to Rachel. Like, she loves them so truly, and my daughter has absolutely no fear at all of any extraterrestrial, and she looks forward to meeting Radar, and she considers him a best friend, like someone she wants to be with all the time.
Well, they're very pleased at the attitude that they're seeing in not only Rachel, but an awful lot of people, as the Telepathy 101 primer went live for free in December. And what we're talking about, guys, is Teeny got together with us starting in June of 2013. And Tlkm assigned this woman to us specifically to teach us better telepathic technique and improve our skill set, as well as to talk to us about teaching a course. And she worked with us all summer of June, or all of June, July, and August of 16 to put together the basic bare bones outline of what is now the Telepathy 101 primer that's been put out in 9 languages and has 3 more coming out. The primer is Teeny's gift to all of you. And it's a free 285-page, just bare bone basics, a layperson's easy to read. You don't have to understand a great deal of science, but she explains not only how you get into a receptive state, but how you practice and the protocols that Star Nations use, and a little bit more about what you can do at home to improve your own skills. And then online on Twitter, they've been answering questions from students all over the world about, is this normal? Is that normal? Am I doing this right? How can I do this better? And they've continued to teach live online. And so they tell us, the Ponti tell us, that the most common method of communication, other than gestural languages in this part of the galaxy, is telepathic languages. Verbal would come after that. Telepathic is first. And so because they would like us to not be afraid and freak out when they speak with us telepathically, because we've been taught that voices in our head are kind of a crazy thing, right? And so they don't want us to be afraid when they speak with us and we hear their clear voices in our heads talking to us in their usual style of communication. Because we've got official first contact coming up, and what Tlkm has told us and what's already starting is personal, private, soft contact is starting all over the world. And if you honestly download the Telepathy 101 primer and start attempting their style of communication in their protocol, they're hearing, and we are getting reports all over the world of people getting visits, getting interaction. It doesn't matter if it's France or Reunion Island or Japan or Sweden or Scotland or Canada or
Japan.
Mexico or Iran. It's everywhere. All over the world, people are writing to the Ponti and asking for a visit, and if they become friends and the Ponti or another star nation hear them, they get visited, and the interaction and the conversations start. What they're trying to do, guys, is get everybody past the, oh, hey, I got a CE1, I saw a bright light in the sky. They're trying to get you past the fear of seeing an individual in person.
6.
They're trying to get you past the fear that that person might just put a voice in your head. And they're trying to get you to the place of saying hello back when they say hello to you, so that you're not so afraid, and so that the interaction and the actual discussion, the information sharing can start. That's the goal. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's kind of where things are going this year. Other questions or other things that we got to chat about before we turn this over to the guys, heaven forbid?
Yes, well, actually, just so people know that a little bit later today in the show, we are going to open the chat lines so people can call in with their questions to either Sue or the group. And the number that to call is 229-299-5320. That's 299. Sorry. It's 229-299-5320. One more time.
Is there an email for them as well after you repeat it one more time? Go slow.
Oh, I think Skype-wise, you could send in by Skype to Mad Painter. Is that M-A? That's 1D, yes. Mad Painter. You can send a Skype message to Mad Painter on Skype.
Or they can put it in the chat room.
Oh, it's a mad painter, isn't it? Or is it just mad painter?
Is it
a mad painter?
Mad painter? Sorry, yeah.
A-M-A-D.
Mad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So what was it? Okay, so where was I going? I wanted to tell a couple more of my personal stories of what happened.
Oh, please.
With my experience.
Oh my goodness. We should talk about you meeting Radar in our house.
Oh my God, that was amazing. Oh, see, I got the opportunity. I visited Sue and Otter with Katerina Castillo. She's Grant Cameron's associate. She and I traveled across the United States. I was helping her move, and we stopped in our biggest stop of our trip was to go and visit Sue and Otter in Albuquerque. And oh my God, it was so glad that we got to meet in person and hang out together and really get to know each other. And we just had such an amazing time, and everything that they showed us, and got to see Sue's her studio where she does all her paintings and all their personal cool toys. I'll put it that way.
Nonsense
stuff. Yeah. And so here we are. We're sitting here in the living room, and it's like an L-shaped couch, and I'm sitting on one end. And
it was evening, if I recall. It was after dark.
Yeah. It was after dark. Yes. And you were sitting across from me, and Otter was sitting to just to your left. Well, on my left. But and so on the right side, I have the window to the backyard, which goes to Albuquerque, to the Sandia Mountain. And to my right, there's like some kind of like a lazy chair that's maybe 10 feet away from me on my left-hand side. And so I'm just talking with Sue, and out of the corner of my left eye, I saw something move, and I look over behind the chair to my left, and I didn't see anything.
Right.
And then I turn back, and I'm talking to Sue again, and the same thing happens. But I noticed at the same time I saw that movement in my eye took place, Sue was looking at the reflection of the window next to me, because she's seeing the same area of the house from a different angle. And so at the same time, we're both taking this look over in the corner, and like it was like peripheral vision, a shadow movement. And I'm like, is there somebody in the room? And then Otter pipes up, Radar's been in here for half an hour. I'm like, what?
He stands over in the corner. He goes and he wanders. When people get visits from the Ponte, and I will tell you all that Drudy and Teeny and Tlkm have all let us know that they have more new trainees right now than they've had in a long, long time. And the reason is that they are training individuals specifically for the private personal self-contact increases that are coming up in 2018 going into 2019. And so it is not unusual to have somebody come visit you, and then if you're in one room, you'll hear them in another. That's not unusual for us to sit in one room and hear them shuffling the papers or the sketches that I have in the studio, or moving things around in another area of the house, or opening up a cupboard door in the kitchen and closing it. That's standard operating procedure here anymore. And so when we hear that, it's just, we honestly just say, oh, hi, come on in and sit. And if they're following their protocols, the Ponte have told us that their protocols are cause no fear, do no harm, leave no trace. And so their standard operating protocol for the trainees is, if they come visit you at your home, at this point in time, they are required to remain invisible. That said, every once in a while they goof up. And it was on the 25th of January, I wake up in the middle of the night and I wander down the hall to go to the kitchen to get a drink. And just about, I suppose 6 feet from where you saw Radar standing, Sarah was standing at the edge of the hallway, hugged against the wall, in the dark, fully visible, not invisible at all, just in the shadows. I walked past her, and in my sleepiness, to be honest, I said, "Oh, hi, Sarah. I'm sorry I didn't see you. I'm going to go get a drink." And I went to the kitchen and got a drink, came in the living room, sat down. By then, she'd realized she wasn't following protocol and fixed the invisibility problem. But honest God, walked right past her.
Wow.
Could have patted her on the head. Was 6 inches from her and almost brushed up against her. That's why I apologized.
That's funny.
So that happens. I mean, it just happens. So if you catch them in that shimmer effect out of your peripheral, that's one way. We also catch them in reflection at an angle. So if you're seeing a reflection in a mirror, in a window, in a sliding glass door, sometimes we will catch them that way and see them move. But every once in a while, you catch them without following protocol or being invisible, mostly because I don't think Sarah that night expected me to come down the hall when I did. So.
What was she doing? Checking up on her portrait?
No, the portrait is already gone off to its new owner. No, she was here with a batch of new trainees.
Oh, that's cool. Man.
Anyway, so
well, yeah.
So,
well, the other thing I was going to share was the other joke that Radar played on me when I was at your place. So
go ahead.
So yeah, Katarina is in the house with Sue and Otter, and we're going to sleep in the camper in the front of the house. So I go out to the front of the house, and I'm taking stuff out of the car and putting it into the camper. And so I get into the camper, and then all of a sudden, the camper starts like moving,
rocking, like somebody's rocking it back and forth.
Somebody was rocking it just ever so slightly, and I'm like, "Whoa, is there an earthquake?" And I stop still, put my feet in the floor, and I'm not moving, going, "What's going on? What's going on?" And and then it just did it a little bit more. I'm like, somebody's playing a trick on me. And I was waiting for it to happen some more, and then it kind of subsided. And I'm like, what the heck was that? While I look outside, I couldn't see anything. And so, by the next day after we had said our goodbyes, and we were back on the road, and I got onto Twitter, and I was thanking the gang for the wonderful trip. And I said, and by the way, Radar, yes, I did see you in my peripheral vision. And was that you rocking the camper? And this tweet came back, and it said simply, well, I may have had a little hairy help. Now, yeah, you have to understand, folks. I knew exactly what that meant, because on Radar's off time, he likes to hang out with certain Sasquatch nations. And he's good buddies with a 15-year-old Sasquatch by the name of Kia. And I guess Kia was hanging out with Radar that night, and it was Kia who was rocking the camper.
Yep, it was Kia. Yep. We say Kia, but that's all right. Okay. That's all right. I knew exactly who you're talking about. We should explain, perhaps to our listeners, one of the things that the Ponti have done for us is start to explain a little bit about star nations and who they travel with and who they're friends with. And very, very slowly, they're putting puzzle pieces together for us. One of the first ones that they put together was that it is not infrequent at all for the Ponti and the Sasquatch nations. They tell us that there are 7. I don't know if I've got that number right, but that's what they tell us. And because the Ponti are small and experienced in travel, and the Sasquatch are large and strong and a multi-dimensional nation, the two of them like to travel. The Sasquatch are not about the technology. They honestly prefer the non-technology approach to living here. But because their body type, that large, hairy, strong body type, is durable in many environmental niches, they go explore the world. And honestly, they tell us that you can find hominids that are relatives of the Sasquatch nations on other worlds. That they just state that as a fact. And we go, okay. The things that they tell us, sometimes all we can do is write them down and start trying to correlate or follow what they're saying, and more information gets forthcoming, and we add more information to our body of knowledge. And so bit by bit, we're understanding the relationships between the star nations, the multidimensional nations, and a little bit piecing together slowly but surely a little bit more about who all else is out there and who visits here.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Yep. I think we have about 10 more. We have 10 minutes before the first break.
All right.
Was there anything that Tlkm wanted shared about official first contact?
Well, all right. Tlkm this year is really letting us know several things. First of all, they really are encouraging the sharing, practice, and spread of the Telepathy 101 primer. And they're asking for that because the folks and the voices that they hear trying telepathically to practice to connect with the star nations are that attempt is encouraged. They are looking for mature, right-minded individuals from all different walks of life to help weave together a network of folks that are approaching or feel as if they can approach first contact with more knowledge and less fear. Okay, the goal is, well, Tlkm and Teeny tell us that official first contact is not about technology. Official first contact is about emotions. It's about dealing with our Earth human emotions. It's about dealing with the fear on their part, because it takes a lot of guts for them to come down into an environment that they know could be life-threatening for them.
Particularly because of the amount of control that's gone on over the centuries through religious and government and educational systems to create a certain type of reality to keep us, I would call it amnesia. We are a species of amnesia, not allowed to remember who we are, and thus that's why so many folks, I'm not bashing Christians because I am a Catholic myself, but the Catholic Church has done certain things so that if you go on and listen to these interviews with my friends who come out with their stories, and all the comments that are coming on Facebook or YouTube are like mostly from the fundamentalist Christians their claim is ETs are nothing but all fallen angels and devils. They're fallen angels and they're demons. And then that seems to be the consensus with the majority of a lot of these people, and which is simply not true. That's a dogma that they've been taught because the Catholic Church has remained silent. But I'll tell you that's changing, and it's changing quite a lot in the next couple of years. A lot of information is going to be coming out to break these paradigms of thought patterns that have been inbred into people for the last centuries.
Right. I understand what you're saying, and I think what we're facing with official first contact is not a prejudice from any one sector of the Earth human population. I think what we're facing is people dealing with a big unknown. Anytime you deal with an unknown of meeting somebody else that you don't know if they're friend or foe, you're cautious. And caution is and discernment absolutely warranted. No matter who it is new that you meet, you still need to keep that ability of being able to understand a truth when you hear it intact. But at the same time, we're looking at trying to overcome that fear or general fear in the population with information, with an understanding of there's an overlap of culture. There's an overlap from the Ponti to us of love of music, love of food, love of dance, love of humor, And so the goal, I believe, for 2018 from Tlkm's perspective is education and introduction in person and networking to spread the word that they're not all monsters, guys. There are some really, really amazing people out there to go meet. And they're wanting us to know that we don't have to be full of fear to approach this. They're coming, they say, to help. And to be very honest with you, in the 4.5 years since Otter and I have come to know Tlkm and the Ponti, they have never once lied to us. Not once. They have never tried to pull the wool over our eyes. There are times where their explanations are complicated and we don't always understand all of them. And there are times where we get a feeling that now is not the time to answer that question because they've got to lay a little bit more foundation understanding first, and the answer will come later. The what appears to be evasion of an answer sometimes by then, we have found out that usually the questions do get answered. It just is in their time, not ours. So we have to understand what I call Ponti time, because they have much more experience getting an entire planet ready for an official first contact than we do. And I've never done this before. I don't know about you folks. So we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants a little bit and asking for some help to spread this information because we can't do it all ourselves. And so we're finding that the Twitter followers are helping Otter and I and helping the Ponti. And everybody working together is this kind of concept of many hands make light work. But the friendships and the interactions that we see are nothing short of amazing. People are helping each other. People are learning from each other. People are opening up and sharing their real stories.
Yeah, we have a real, like a family unit that's developed on their Twitter. I mean, there's a lot of the same family, the same group of folks that we're always on.
You asked also, and before I forget, you also asked other focuses that Tlkm has.
Yes.
Teeny piped up and she said, don't forget to tell them that we are encouraging the formation of local telepathy practice groups so that you don't have to sit at home and do this all by yourself. You can get together with other folks and get real live interaction and meet like-minded folks, hopefully, and learn and have a blast at the same time.
That's right, yes. By downloading the telepathy course, there's a lot of great exercises that you can do is in groups to have fun, basically, and practice your telepathy. And one of the ones that Tini had mentioned was about the taking a black and white photograph, usually something that has like an emotional attachment or content to it that people would be able to recognize. One person has the photograph and is thinking about it, and then everybody else basically has a piece of paper and they're to draw what they're picking up, right?
That's correct. What Teeny says, excuse me, pardon me. What Teeny tells us is that when telepathy was first researched here in the United States, and they used the Zener cards with the wavy lines and the crosses and the circles and all of that, triangles on it. She said that sort of telepathy research falls far short of what's possible because the boredom factor comes into place so very fast. In other words, if I sit for 10 minutes and go through Zener cards, after 10 minutes, I'm bored of what I'm doing. But if I am looking instead at a black and white photo that has an emotional content, now I am emotionally engaged in that photograph. And if I focus on it and allow myself to feel the feelings that are evoked by the emotion of the photo, and I focus on that along with the shapes and the dark and light shadows, and that's what I'm trying to send to the group that's receiving the information. The group's instructions are very, very simple. For all the dark and light shadows and shapes, do not, Teeny repeats, do not attempt while you are doing this to attempt to guess or name the things in the photograph. Do not give them nouns. By attempting to guess and name them instead of just focusing on light and shadow and shapes, you are shifting from reception and easier gathering information to really kind of shutting it off and trying to do the left brain logical analysis right then and there. If you do that, you're going to cut it off every time. And so instead of that, just focus on the light and shadow shapes. Break, all right, take a break.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
You need some more speed records in this day and age. You need coverage.
Coverage? Oh, you mean them little root weevils that crawl around popping off cameras in your face?
Those root weevils write history.
Many of you know that quote by Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men, you can't handle the truth. Well, you can, and Event Horizons will give you those truths. So when you're mad as hell and not going to take it anymore from that memorable senior network, you'll know just what to do. We will draw you in and become your news addiction at Event Horizons. Join us Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time at freedomslips.com. Revolution Radio. Our world team members are Dennis Fetcho, John Ilias, David Dunger, Halakas MD, Melanie Vrichton, Jim Mars, Paula Harris, John Trallo, Maria Payan, Christopher Husser, DODDS, Jonathan Orchard, and me, your anchor, Dr. Robin Falco.
If you decide not to volunteer, it will not be held against you in any way.
Sounds dangerous. It is. Very dangerous. Count me in.
And that's right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps. Is your data safe? Do you have the necessary information to assist you in confidently living through just about any survival situation? Is survival and gardening, off-grid living, medical knowledge, or even natural or man-made EMPs on your list of personal concerns? Do you have your documents and your personal information in a safe place in your hands where you know where it is? Well, check out our preloaded EMP-proof thumb drive. Over 3 gigs of survival documents and how-tos, plus the USDA offline food preservation website, and much, much more, including a surprise bonus we just can't tell you about here. With plenty of room left over to store your most important documents. Imagine if a megavirus or a computer failure took out your bank, or all the banks for that matter. Are your banking records safe in your hands? So when they get things fixed and repaired, you can say, hey, look, this is what I had. You have it. I want it back. Is your personal data safe? Family records, addresses, phone numbers? Well, squeeze on over to freedomslips.com. Yes, that's www.freedomslips.com. Click the banner on the homepage for the EMP-proof bullet drive to get the full scoop of everything that we offer. So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
In breaking news, a visiting Syrian diplomat reported today that their population is evolving rapidly and advancing into a fifth-dimensional consciousness. They are seeking peace with all cosmic cultures, which may mean that the Earth will be asked to join the prestigious Galactic Federation of Light Alliances. Please join Debbie West and Michael Hathaway on Lost Knowledge, Saturdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Studio A, for the latest breaking news on the Star Visitors' peaceful contact and the ongoing project of cleansing the Earth.
This is the people's war. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Warning! Warning!
We gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all! See how the trouble you've started? Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they anyone, or human beings. Time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported talk radio station, throwing ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it. Right! You tell them I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Revolution Radio!
Join Revolution Radio every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Studio B for Momentary Zen with host Zen Garcia at freedomslips.com, the People Station.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
There we go. We're back.
We're back.
Okay.
We're back. We're
All
back
right.
live again.
Yep. What were you going to ask, Kevin?
Yeah. So here's a question for Radar. We know that Elon Musk, he's got a couple cameras up there on his Tesla Roadster.
Mm-hmm.
What are the possibilities of him going up there with Delta Dawn and mooning the camera?
Going up there with Delta Dawn, probability is high because they've already been there. Probability of returning, maybe. Mooning the camera, Tlkm has kind of officially taken that off the table. But being seen and spinning donuts around the vehicle, if that camera is still operating, possible.
Okay.
I kid you not. Possible.
All right. So, Radar, what else did you want to tell? What else do you want to tell me?
All right. So I don't know how he's done it. He is showing me images of the set of the movie Avatar, not the movie that's already been released. The one that's being shot and is coming out.
Oh.
I don't know how he knows that set. Sometimes Radar finds things. He is describing a connection beneath the ocean that's being hinted at through the film, that he's saying Tlkm and Teeny and he and everybody else are telling you, pay attention, there's going to be a test. Oh. But he's already been there. I can tell you that Radar, he keeps asking. I believe I'm gonna be real honest. There are people that he follows around the world because he likes their laugh and because he likes their outlook. And so I think you're going to see more contact from Radar to some of these individuals who, one, aren't going to be afraid if he contacts them, but two, make people laugh on purpose. To be very honest with you, it would not surprise me for him to contact very famous comedians just because he likes to hear them laugh. He likes to be there. He likes to be in environments like that. Radar's assignment when he got here from Tlkm, honest to God, guys, was to study Earth media, television, movies, radio broadcasts, recordings, anything on the internet he could find, books, and get a vibe or a feel of what does the public in general take away from that TV, movie, book, etc., about the Star Nation or Star Nations or UFOs or extraterrestrials, all of the above. So if it had ET or UFO in it or anything stellar in the topic, he had to study it and report back to Tlkm. So honest to God, his job was to watch TV. And
sweet gig.
Sweet gig. So he assessed all of this, and in the process began to learn stuff better than we know. And so when he tells us that he keeps up with things like the upcoming release of that, doesn't surprise me. All right. Here's the quote. Dude, I'm serious about the gig on the moon. Are you in?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, dude.
Okay. You have to explain that one to your audience.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, because I'm Radar's guitar teacher. And after official first contact in 2021, when I guess a lot more time I'll be spending off world and doing other things. And Radar and I we're gonna form a band. We're gonna put a band together, and we're gonna play. One of our first gigs is gonna be Moonbase Alpha.
Okay, all right. So I'll correct a few things and rein it back in just a little bit.
Okay.
First of all, can you go gig once on the moon with them for a special occasion that they could get permission for?
All right.
Especially if it was a Star Nation interstellar performance, and especially if it was the first performance that was intergalactic for Earth in a long, long time. So in other words, if you have an Earth human gig with an extraterrestrial, that hasn't happened in a long time. And Radar is saying, are you in?
No, I mean,
and because he thinks he can get permission to do that. Now, form a band and go tour and spend a lot of time intergalactically doing that I don't know anything about. You're going to have to we're going to have to learn a whole lot more before we can go there. But I do think he was very serious. There are a couple of things that he appreciates, and he appreciates your fingering technique. He appreciates the classical history that you pull from. And he likes your humor. He is telling you that your dance moves on stage need a little improvement.
Okay.
Oh, and that was the other thing with Radar. Yeah, I know. He says, tell him about the dance class Saturday mornings at 9:00.
Oh, okay.
Not. Yeah. Radar, because he had been assigned all of the media stuff, became interested in learning dances when Druti realized through her observations with interacting that girls like guys who can dance. That was her simple statement to him one day. Very, very simple. He hadn't paid any attention to earth dances at all, really, up until that point, with the exception of watching Michael Jackson dance in Thriller, because it had a monster theme. He watched it. So he went back to that first, I kid you not, and started watching, because Druti said, girls like guys who can dance. And he started becoming enamored because it overlapped with the music that he liked anyway. It overlapped with some spare time that he had, so he began to teach himself. And now, honest to God, these guys hold dance classes in the hangar bay Saturday mornings at 9:00. Because they've had to cut me off before saying, we got to go. We got dance class. And so they've learned everything from classic dances like the Charleston and the Lindy, which was a couple of weeks ago, to moonwalking. And some the day that Radar asked me what twerking was, and to describe it was quite unique. That was an unusual day. But the fascination, and then, of course, the prompting is because dance and music are common loves all across the galaxy. I don't care if you're Big Brother Sasquatch or you're one of the other Zeta nations, or if you're from the Pleiades or Lyra, it doesn't matter. There is a love of music and dance and rhythm and food and humor, and that's universal, and that's kind of where we're trying to start. So what else you want to know from your buddy over here? He's chomping at the bit going, ask me questions, come on. He's almost like, and well, before the show, I don't know if you saw the tweet that said Peter was shy and nervous. Grayson was just kind of lounging back going, what up, dude? Radar was walking around like he'd eaten too many chocolate-covered espresso beans. Teeny was shaking her head going, oh my. Tlkm was going, what did I get myself into? Is this a really good idea or not? And honest, that was the vibe about 15 minutes before we went on air. Grayson is the new fella that we are still learning about. It was, and the unusual thing is with Grayson, one, he's really laid back. But two, his voice is really deep. We have this preconceived notion that these guys are little guys and they should have these high, small voices. And that's just not the case. Grayson's voice is closer to who's the guy that does Darth Vader?
Oh, James Earl Jones.
Yeah, a deep like that, bass voice. Al Jolson, gravelly.
Oh, yeah?
Uh-huh. James Earl Jones, Al Jolson. If you combine the two of them, you're closer. But nothing phases that guy. I mean, whatever is going to happen, it's going to happen, and he just rolls with it. And so trying to get to know him has been just kind of a bit of a conundrum because he doesn't pipe up real often. PETA, on the other hand, has been assigned to being friendly with all the hackers of Official First Contact, and he's waving over there right now. How can I say this nicely? Because PETA is new, in May, sometimes he says things before he checks in that he's supposed to. So every once in a while, Peter will slip up. And then Tlkm will come back and go, did that go out live on Twitter? And I go, yeah. You didn't tell me to edit him. Oh, okay. And so do these guys let stuff slip when they're not supposed to? Occasionally. I'm just a translator. I just put out exactly what they tell me to put out. And so I just don't know where it's going always. Grayson is
Does he want to say something?
Grayson has got to head out in just a few minutes. He's assigned to leave and at the bottom of the hour. The other two will be here, but he's got to head over to the southeast area of Florida in just a little bit and relieve Sarah. Right. There are some people that they visit and they keep visiting and I don't exactly know why. Radar is waving at us. He's heading out the door. Sorry. I don't think we're going to hear from him tonight. But when the gang chooses a person to teach more intensely, I'm not exactly sure who makes that decision or exactly why. Sometimes it's almost like they've just become really good friends and they're curious and they want to get to know somebody. Sometimes it's because they're trying to garner a friendship and because that person can help spread the right-mindedness in a good way. Sometimes they're just laying the groundwork for the waves of official first contact that are coming in the next, 1,000 days here. Mm-hmm. I don't exactly know what and why. But ask Peter and Radar are still waiting for whatever questions you got.
Okay, so Radar, when you get Peter and Grayson together, are you like the ringleader and like do you end up like becoming a bad influence on them?
The response that comes back is, where Kie does his business, right? Do big brothers do their business in the woods? Yeah. Okay. Is Radar, dude? Yeah. The real response, honestly, was, dude. Yeah. Who else? If truth be told, I think you would find that our quiet friend Grayson comes up with a lot of ideas and plants them in Radar and Peter's heads, and then just sits back and watches. Otter plants a few ideas in their heads and sits back and watches on purpose too. But it's Radar who takes the implementation to the edge. If he thinks he can get by with it and still be okay with Tlkm for the most part, without getting privileges taken away, he will. I mean, he does. It's just who he is. That's his personality.
Radar, were you like this back in high school? Were you back like this in school when you were back on Pontel?
Yes. Yeah, dude. Stay in class? No. What took everybody else, hours, I was done in 5 minutes, and it goes fast, and I'm out the door. The speed that he learns at is increased. He's kind of like the Mexican jumping bean that way, but for the Ponte, Radar's abilities mentally are amazing, but he's got that fearlessness gene that a lot of them don't have. A lot of Tlkm is fairly cautious when Tini goes caving or spelunking. She's cautious, but Radar has that throw caution to the wind. Let me try it. I want to feel it. I want to do it. I don't want to just read about it. I don't want to hear about it. I want to go experience it. That's his personality. Mm-hmm. And that's what's taken him into all these different nooks and crannies of Earth and trying different things and hanging out with different people and getting into trouble and getting out of trouble and getting into hot water again, getting out of hot water. But you wouldn't think that it's that disorganized, but Tlkm gives radar a whole lot more license than most.
Yeah, actually, there was a story that I wanted to hear from Radar's mouth. Hey, Radar, tell me about
which?
Tell me about movie night with the Sasquatch up in the
it ain't
observation room.
Dude, it ain't movie night. It's stomp and growl. Get it right.
Okay.
So the dude, the story is this. Usually it's the full moons. Occasionally it's the new moons. But most of the time, everybody gets together, and all the teens and all the guys get together. Not the gals, just the guys. And we go meet and we do stomp and growl. And that's when I get pizza and we just do it. What they're talking about is a stomp and growl. And we've had Sasquatch researchers in Colorado audio tape stomp and growls and send them to us. I think I'm trying to remember who it was. I'll have to come up with who it was that did that.
College.
But they get together, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's kind of a counting coup game night. It's kind of get together and best each other, sort of tussling around. It's, if you had to say the Sasquatch Summer Games or the Winter Olympics, it's closer. It's trying to see who can do what best, but it's a lot of noise and a lot of ground shaking. And sometimes it's within a clan, as in all the guys in the same clan get together and see what they can do with each other. And sometimes it's clans pitted against one another, as in the neighborhood clan up in Colorado comes to do stomp and growl at a mutually chosen location with the clan in New Mexico, say.
So it's almost like a breakdancing competition.
It's not quite that intricate and complicated. It's a lot more ground shaking and just plain old stomping on the ground. But you'll see who can break down the largest tree, who can throw it the farthest, who can pick up the heaviest boulder, who can toss it the farthest. I mean, it kind of reminds me of Scottish pole tossing.
Oh, yeah.
Or things along those lines. Games of skill.
Boulder chucking.
Yeah, boulder chucking is common. Not at each other's heads, not in competition. The Sasquatch employ a manner of, for the most part, solving territorial disputes with more of a counting coup sort of methodology than a battle methodology. And what we mean by that is, if you can sneak up to your enemy without them knowing about it, right into their camp and tap them on the shoulder and run before they can catch you, it embarrasses them. You got one up on them, okay? You made a point. And so that's a counting coup sort of concept. Nobody gets hurt, usually. And yet disputes are often solved with the stomp and growls and things along that line, rather than injury from one Sasquatch to another.
It's almost like a epic rap battle, you know. I'm thinking of like the movie 8 Mile with Eminem, you know.
Right. So it's who can win without the bloodshed, and how do you do that?
That's how we should be fighting things out.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Let's do that and see what happens.
Yeah.
So the stomp and growls, radar has been known to literally order pizza, pick it up, and take it up to them, and that's they absolutely love pizza. I kid you not. When a lot of our friends go visit the Sasquatch to bring them food or take them gifts, traditionally our Native American friends will take them melons or squashes, something that has a hard rind that's easy to carry, large, keeps easily, feeds a bunch of people. Watermelons in the summer work great. They love ham. They love bacon. But anything that you can do, if you know that the local Sasquatch clan in your area has been hard-pressed for food because of drought or other change to their food sources, and you know where they live, go gift them something. They will appreciate it. They really will. So the Stomp and Growls, Radar goes to show off his moves. He gives them ideas. They give him ideas, and everybody goes home happy. Oh.
Now, there was another question I had because it was something you had shared with me. Radar, you're there. I want to hear from your side of the story. I heard about that time that you got in trouble for bringing a bunch of Sasquatch to the base, to the observation room. You're some kind of party going on, or you're watching movies, or can you tell me about what happened there, buddy?
Okay. All right. So Tlkm's at the moon base, dude.
Oh, that was when he was at the moon base.
Yeah, Judy's gone. Teeny's spelunking somewhere. Sarah's at the desk. Pete is off in Florida, and I'm by myself. And so I see if Kie's busy. And Kie's up with the buddies up north of here. And I won't tell you exactly where I go get them, but it doesn't take me but a hop, skip, and a jump. So I just contacted Kie and said, "What you doing?" He said, "Nothing, just hanging out." And I said, "You want to come for a movie night? I'll make popcorn." He said, "Dude, can I?" I said, "Tlkm's not here." And so you can't fit very many Sasquatch in Delta Dawn at one time. The skipper ships, normally the classic saucer-size skipper ships, you can hold 6 if you crowd them. 4 is easy with gear. 2 is really comfortable. But they're not made for Sasquatch. And you get anybody bigger than Kie, who's already, heading on 7 foot, and it's cramped. So Radar had to go down to the bay and talk to their head mechanic, who's an old guy. But they have other sized craft in storage down there because sometimes they have to shuttle more people. So Radar talks to what's the old guy's name that runs the hangar bay? I don't remember either. Okay. I'll think of it. Anyway, he grabs one of the larger ships that can hold 6 Sasquatch. And he takes 5 minutes. He goes to get them. He comes back. And you have all 6 bodies crammed into a shuttle. And they come traipsing up the ramp after they arrive. And Sasquatch, in New Mexico, there isn't a lot of water to bathe with all the time in the winter. They can get a little on the smelly side. And Radar's used to it, but the other staff members weren't quite. And so, bless their hearts, a few of them smell like wet dog rolled in poo. And they don't know that. They're out in the woods all the time. They're used to each other. And even the Sasquatch get nose blind. And so they've got all these guys crammed into the observation lounge, and they're putting movies on and popcorn, and then the word comes back from the moon base. One of the young trainees came flying down the hall and zoomed in and ran into the smell before he even got to the door. And his eyes were tearing up, and he comes around the corner and he looks at Radar, his eyes just full of tears just from the smell. I kid you not. And Radar's throwing handful of popcorn in his hand, and there's popcorn everywhere. Everywhere.
What a slob.
And he's just all out of this trainee is all out of breath going, Radar, you got to get him out of here now. Tlkm heard. Come on. And so it, honest to God, was a scramble. Because all these guys looked at Radar like, what do you mean, dude? We got to leave. We just got here. And so that was part of the story. They ended up going back. Kie's dad is Ma'aluk, and Ma'aluk is clan head. And Ma'aluk and Tlkm have been friends a long time, long before Radar was there, or before Kie was ever born. And so the two of them later had a little bit of a talk. And that's as much as I know about that. The rest of it apparently is private. So that's the story of the Sasquatch coming in for or trying to come in for movie night at the station. They almost pulled it off.
So, Radar, are you proud of yourself?
Dude, no, I got caught. Are you kidding? I got to get better at this. You can borrow our projector. You can have movie night up there. Just take a sheet, hang it from the tree. Okay.
Yeah, Radar, I got a feeling that when you and I get to hang out, that we're probably going to get into a lot of trouble.
Nah, not us, dude. Are you kidding? No, never.
Yeah, never.
Yeah. Trouble is not my middle name.
Truth or dare?
Oh, don't go there. Oh, Kevin, we hadn't taught them about that yet. Don't go there.
Truth or dare?
La 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 la. I know nothing. I didn't hear that.
Okay, Radar, ask me a question. Truth or dare?
I have to explain something to Otter. Kevin just taught them the phrase truth or dare. Oh dear. Now you have a look. You have a look from here all the way to Canada. You have a look. All right. So truth or dare. Radar, what do you know? I don't know.
Ask a question about me that you want to know.
Do you have a current girlfriend?
No.
Okay.
Do you know anybody? Can you introduce me to one of your friends?
He's bad. He's got a little black book.
Otter said he's bad. He's got to go find his little black book. The honest answer is he's got to think fast about which nation, who's available, who's up in your area, and how soon he can get them to you. That was the sequence that came back. Is let me think on this. I think I might know somebody.
Do you know any Pontier or reptilians?
Well, sure.
All right.
Yeah, there's enough people around that will find somebody. But would you, Radar? What are you talking about? Kevin circled July 7th this year. I have no idea why yet, except that when I look at Radar and ask about you, and I was asking him to ask you a truth or dare question. Every once in a while, when you telepathically talk to somebody, you pick up their side thoughts, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And his side thought of you was July 7th, and it's almost like it was on a calendar circled with the concept of meet up.
Really?
That's as much as I know.
Wow.
Yeah, hang on to that, would you?
Yeah, I just wrote it down right now.
Yeah. Other than that, right now, he's asking if you know anything about South African rhythm. What?
South African rhythm?
Yeah, I kid you not. He is asking specifically, what do you know about South African music and South African rhythm? And I don't know what he's talking about except, oh, I know. Okay, so here's the story. And another side thought. About a week ago, well, no, it was actually about 2 weeks ago. Radar popped up one day out of the blue and said, Sue, get on the internet and would you see if you can go to YouTube and find Desmond Tutu jokes? And my head whipped out and whipped around, and I looked out the picture window. I said, "You said what?" Desmond Tutu jokes. Look for the videos. And I went, "What do you know that I don't know? Just look it up." And I went, "Okay." So I went to YouTube and Desmond Tutu jokes. And here was an interview with Desmond Tutu, Father Desmond Tutu, the Nobel Peace Prize guy, and the very famous gentleman from South Africa who was very, very instrumental in getting things calmed down in that country with his wisdom and his right-mindedness. And I thought, well, he's this nice spiritual world leader, but why is Radar asking me to look up any jokes that he's told? What is up with that? And so I had no idea. So I did what he told me to do. I looked up Desmond Tutu jokes. I brought up this interview video. And then I heard Father Tutu laugh. And Father Tutu has the best laugh on the planet, I swear. He's delightful. I had never heard him laugh. I'd never heard the man tell a joke. He has the most marvelous sense of humor. And Radar asked me to listen to his laugh. And then Radar, listening to Father Tutu laugh, started busting a gut all over again and said, his laugh is infectious. I can't stop laughing when I hear him laugh. I want to meet this man. And I'm going, Radar, hold on. Wait. Slow down. Slow down. You just talked about one of the world's spiritual leaders that you want to go meet him just because of his laugh. He said, well, yeah, I like the Dalai Lama's laugh too. I told him so. And I'm going, Radar, I'm not sure if that's the right protocol for meeting people. Maybe you better check in with Tlkm.
It almost reminds me of the movie Sling Blade. Ever seen with Billy Bob Thornton?
No.
I like the way you talk. I like the way you talk too.
Anyway, that was the sequence. And so right now, Tlkm is having to hold Radar back from contacting Father Desmond Tutu in person just to go hear him laugh, because he's kind of hoping that things will be part of that right-minded mix later on down the line, but he doesn't want Radar to blow it. So that's it. But if you haven't ever heard Father Desmond Tutu's laugh, go listen. Totally worth it. I had never, and was delighted. So that's cool. That's part of that end of things.
I had a question for Radar.
Yeah.
Hey, Radar, would you like me to show you my studio and get you to sit down and teach you how to write music on my recording studio equipment?
Yeah. Hey, that would work. I understand the theory. I understand the reading of the notes. The running of your equipment, I don't think we'd have a problem with. The mixing sounds fun. Unfortunately, doing that in person is going to have to wait until OFC unless Tlkm gives me permission sooner. And that's a big maybe.
You know what? I think you would have a very easy time learning bass.
I've been watching.
Yeah, I could teach you how to play bass because I have a bass guitar here too. I also have my keyboards, and I could teach you. I have some great analog keyboards like Moogs and stuff like that, and we can get some really cool sounds. You could lay down grooves. I got drum machines. We could do everything together. Make it write a song together.
There's music back on Pontel that you guys don't have here, and it's real hard to describe. Do you know what a chicapa is? Chicapa is like a what do you call it?
No rattles.
Rattle. It's like a rattle with a distinct sound. Our chicapas sound like that is more metallic sounding, but it has an echo effect to it and a reverb that would go real well with what you're doing. You ever heard the, what do you call them? It's not a water bowl here. I don't know the name of the instrument. If you fill a great big round cylinder with water and it has a string instrument or string attached with tension like a guitar string but closer to a violin string, and you play it with a bow.
Oh, wow.
Then you move the round cylinder with the liquid in it as you're playing, and the slosh of the water changes the tone and the pitch.
Oh, wow.
And you get a slide. That's unique.
So cool. That's kind of sounds almost like the Pyramidion that I was playing at the concert last week. Almost a similar, because it's a cymatic instrument.
Saw that? Not quite. No. No. Different.
Different. Okay, that's fine.
I have to show you.
What do you mean you saw that? Were you there?
Can I plead the fifth?
Were you at the show?
He's looking around to see if Tlkm's still around in the room. I was on assignment.
Yeah.
He's not going to say anything more about that. I kid you not. He's not going to say anything more about that.
Okay.
And he was on assignment.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah, I think you'll get a private conversation.
That was the truth or dare part of our conversation. That was the dare, right?
Maybe.
All right. Okay. Ask me a truth or dare, Radar. Ask me a question.
Oh God, dude. Pete is raising his hand. Hang on just a second.
Oh, sure, right. Go ahead, Peter.
Okay. This is going to sound really silly. He's asking about shaving.
Oh, boy.
He says, when you shave, what do you do that you don't? How do you decide where to not go? Meaning, how do you decide what the pattern is going to be? And are there rules? That's a weird question.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, it really depends on the person and how much facial growth they have.
But you have stripes.
I have stripes. I've got sideburns that go down to my chin, and then I have a goatee underneath my chin.
You got stripes. Why do you have stripes? Nobody else has stripes like you have, and I don't get it. So he's asking, okay, Peter, it's just personal preference, like what length hair you want to have.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I see. I actually grew it into a full beard last year, and I thought it looked pretty cool. But then I decided to shave it down and just have it underneath my chin. And it went all the way, where my sideburns are. It went underneath my chin, down and below, as you can see in a lot of my pictures I have on during my photo shoots. But then I trimmed that back to just below the chin line, below my ear. I kind of did that because it wasn't quite even underneath. So because of just my physically of how I'm capable of growing, it just wasn't matching up symmetrically underneath my chin. So I just pulled it back to have the sideburns, because that's kind of like the Yngwie Malmsteen look. And since I'm kind of a huge influence of him, I wanted to kind of take a look at what he had and incorporate it into myself. So that's why I have what I do. The goatee underneath my chin, I have that kind of as an influence from Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa is a very famous musician, and he always had a goatee, so I kind of do the Frank Zappa thing.
Okay, so do people choose how they take the hair off their chins like they choose the tattoos they put on their skin?
Well, tattoos on the skin is permanent for the most part, but facial hair can change at any point, and you can, as I said, but depending on what you're physically capable of growing, will determine how many different styles that you can have on your face. And depending on how fast the growth is, you may be able to change your look and appearance multiple different times. And my brother, he can change anytime he wants because it grows so fast. And so sometimes he's had a full beard one week. The next week he has like a pencil thin looking like Tony Stark from Iron Man. Some people have, or other people, if you notice the big trend now is these men with burly mustaches. That trend that kind of developed from Duck Dynasty, and now you have that seems to be the trend now of guys just growing out full grown out lion mane beards. So it really depends on your personality and style and the stylistic trends of the time period.
But it doesn't hurt when you shave?
No, I mean, like I use an electric razor, and so it's very easy for me just to trim off the parts every morning that that I keep short, and then the other parts I keep long. I just trim around it. It's very easy that way. And then I have a small trimmer that I use for fine tuning, which is like a
Okay, so is it fun or is it a pain? Is it fun or is it what there's exasperating, pain in the butt, headache, not wanting to do something negative?
Sometimes it's like that. Pain in the butt, yeah. Sometimes it is.
Okay.
It depends on if you have an electric razor and the job is fast, it's not so bad. If you don't and you have like as a regular razor and using shaving cream, it takes a long time. That's a pain in the butt.
Okay.
So.
Whoa.
Good question.
It seems messy.
With the electric razor that I have, it's really quick.
Okay.
Oh no.
Oh no. That was fast.
We've run out of time.
Lord have mercy.
That was a fast hour.
Well, we'll have to tune in next time to take more questions from the Pontee.
Yeah.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message. Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Any commercial advertising you may hear in this program is of the sole discretion and benefit of the host of whose program you are listening to. Revolution Radio does not endorse any commercial products, nor does it accept monetary compensation for on-air advertising of commercial products, nor will it ever. We are and shall remain 100% listener supported. Any product advertising on this program are considered used at higher risk, and Revolution Radio shall not be held liable for any claims or damages received from any product advertised within this program. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Most guys freeze. That's your cerebral cortex looking for an answer it doesn't have.
See? Even your brain knows you're screwed.
The body's filling with adrenaline right now, whether you know it or not. The heart's beating fast. It's getting a little harder to breathe. The neurobiological system is telling it to run, but your knees are too weak to move.
Fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imagination, causing us to fear things that do not at present and may not ever exist. That is near insanity. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. We are all telling ourselves a story.
You're listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. 100% listener-supported radio. Reporting to danger, unafraid. Right here, where information never sleeps. Revolution Radio.
Take a look around, kid. What do you see? Homes being foreclosed. People working 2-3 jobs just to put food on the table and still drowning in debt. Don't get me wrong. This country was founded on great ideals and principles. They've all been ruined by the banks. Open your eyes to banks that are robbing you. You know who my favorite president was? Who? Thomas Jefferson. Because he saw all of this coming and tried to stop it. He fought the banks. JFK too, and they killed him for it. The banking institution is more dangerous than an army, he said.